Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the American Dream. Tonight we have two highly active citizens in the city of Lynn and in the world. First, Carolina Trujillo. Sorry, Carolina Trujillo. No, Carolina, I had it correct. All right. She's the community relations manager and director of La Voz newspaper. And she's going to explain what La Voz is all about in a minute. She's a graduate of she has a bachelor's degree. She has two master's degrees from Suffolk University, one in public administration and one in political science. And beside her is Juan Gonzalez, who is a minister in Lynn, and he has an incredible resume centered around social activism. Welcome to the show, both of you.
Thank you so much for
Thank you for having us, Jim.
So why don't we get right to La Voz? What's that all about?
So La Voz came as a need to inform the Latino community here in Lynn, Revere, and Salem. So the main purpose of the newspaper is to have centralized news that informs, that it gives accurate information to the people, the residents here. And it's basically, the idea came from themselves. They said, you know, this is the type of information we want in our paper. Essex Media Group was listening, and that's how we came to have La Voz.
Essex Media Group. Right?
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And you're active in the Latino community.
Yes.
You come from Guatemala.
Yes, I do.
Okay. And you formed a Latino organization, is that right?
Yes, I'm the founder from the American Latino Committee.
Okay. And tell us about that, please, if you would.
There is a lack of Latino representation in this city in many issues and topics about housing, leadership, immigration, education. So I think it's a good time to bring committee who represent the Latino in this city.
Okay, and we're going to try to talk about all of those topics. You were given an award by the City Council President for these activities?
A few years ago.
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
right here in the city.
Good. Okay, so La Voz, is it affiliated with a daily item?
Well, it's another product that comes out of the family of Essex Media Group. That's really how it's defined. So they have different products. La Voz will be their Latino product. And what we want to do is basically, like Juan is saying, there is a lack of leadership here, mainly because people do want to be part of stuff, but they just don't know where it's happening, who's doing it, what's happening. So La Voz comes to fill a gap that was a huge gap. Among all the residents of these three communities. And we are working with different organizations, with Juan, with the school committees, and all the organizations that are social driven and also governmental driven, to make sure that everybody has the right information, that it's accurate. And if they want to participate and be agents of change themselves, they can do that. Because I think that's what Juan's mission is. We carry the same mission. We want people to act, to participate.
You are providing information to these
We are.
groups. And what are you doing, Juan?
Well, through the years, there is some Latinos representation in this city, like she said, in the school committee, right here in the city hall. But I think we need more than that. I think we need more representation in every single level. So through the years, I've been trying to connect the Latino community. 4 or 5 years ago, I guess, I tried to implement a bilingual magazine to connect and to inform the Latino people too. I think in many projects, when we are trying to connect the Latino people with this city.
Okay, and how are you doing that?
Well, outreach, local projects, local campaigns, concerts, events, folkloric events. Yes, just to mention some of that.
Do you go to the Hispanic Scholarship Society fundraising event they have at the Franco-American Hall every year?
No, that's I think Maria Carrasco
It
and
is
another
Maria.
Latino.
Maria.
Yes, they are doing a terrific job with that. Yeah.
unbelievable. It's
Yes,
unbelievable.
I mean they need more support. Not just from the existent supporters, but the more Latino supporters too.
Right.
But they are doing great job. With that.
I talked to
scholarship.
Maria about having some of those scholarship winners come on this show. Yeah, they're articulate, they're graduates of Lynn schools, and they're going off to good colleges. And they're getting good money, they're good scholarship money.
Yes, and I think we need to hear about the new voices, like these young
Right,
people. Yeah,
right.
That's the new face from the Latino population
They're all
in
so
this city.
proud of their homeland, or their
Exactly.
parents' homeland.
Exactly.
You're from Guatemala and you're from Colombia, right? So they talk with great pride about where their parents came from. And some of them came from some of those countries themselves.
Yes,
And
yes.
they came sometimes not speaking English. And there's a family in Lynn, the Louise family. They're Italian. And Mr. Louise came to this country from Italy. And he couldn't speak a word of English when he came here. And he went to St. Mary's in Lynn. And he couldn't speak any English when he started there. And he graduated from high school, #1 in his class, and then became a lawyer. And he's got a great family. And that's the American dream, and that's the Lynn dream. That's what it's all about. So how is Lavos going to interact with the community? You're going to go around and meet with people? And
Well, that's how we started. As a matter of fact, Juan was asking me about the name, and I would tell him, we asked the people what they want the newspaper to be called, and we had a couple of names, and we surveyed them, and they came to the conclusion that La Voz was that it represented for their voice. They wanted a voice within all of the systems that are interacting with them. So that's first. My initial job was to really go out and touch the pulse of the community, identify what was of their interest, where were the needs. It's content driven by the community itself. I talked to people from all levels in government, in media, different representatives, as well as the people in the bodegas and the barbershops. Just talking to everybody who's part of this community and who moves the community forward, just to get a sense of what the content needed to be and what makes sense to them. So I think this is a very unique product that has been driven. It's a community-driven product, and it reflects their needs and their wants. And my job was just to translate that into a product. And hopefully we're starting with bi-weekly editions. Once we establish more of a solid presence, we're going to go to weekly editions. That's the goal. And our first edition is coming out on November 3rd.
November 3rd, just before the election.
Just before the elections, which are very interesting topic for immigrants.
It is.
Especially in those times.
Yeah.
Yes. So let's talk about it for a minute. What about voter registration? Have you been involved in voter registration?
Yes, I do. Actually, my daughter, she's a political science student. The last 2 months, her and another friends, they are trying to reach new youths, new Latino youth, to be involved to be more involved with the American issues, and that's, of course, the vote is one of those.
Where is your daughter a political science student?
She is at Lesley University right now in Cambridge. Yes, the second year. She's doing great too.
And she lives in Lynn.
Yes.
And she's involved in voter registration.
Yes, she is.
It's very hard work.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But I think the Latinos are in this moment when they know is the right time to take actions, especially for all those bad and racist issues, and comments, political problems, I think they are understanding is the moment to raise their voice. So I think
Good.
it's the right moment to do it.
And that's the best way to raise. I mean, you can write and publish in your newspaper, but voting is a real positive way to raise a voice
Yes,
with the public,
exactly.
with the politicians.
Exactly. I think we are more than 40,000 Latinos living in Lynn right now.
40,000?
Yes, I think it's more than that. But there is a lack of new voters, So I think if we can encourage them to vote, we can make the difference in every single aspect, local, national, impact. I think we can do it. We are more than 20 millions right now in U.S. able to vote. So if we try to reach, we are trying to reach all these people. At least if we can reach 5%, in all the United States with another local organizations, I think will be a great goal. Yep.
Why should people vote?
Well, first of all, because it's their way of being current in the political arena. And I think it's the way that people need to establish a presence and an opinion, and it's their right, first of all, and second, it's their obligation. I think there's an obligation to determine the course of the country in a political way, and really get involved in what the future is and what we're leaving as a country, as a nation, for the children. Like you said, my mom came here and she brought me here. My son was born here. I'm an immigrant, daughter of an immigrant mother. I'm a citizen now. My son was born a citizen. He has the ability or the opportunity, if he wishes to take it, to be the president of the United States. And I want.
Do you have any daughters, by the way?
I don't.
That's coming.
But I'm very excited that maybe if I did have a daughter, she would also have the same opportunities as my son does. So I think that it's like, I agree with Juan. I think this is a critical moment. As a female, as a minority, as an immigrant, I think that there's a lot of racism and there's a lot of more explosion of it. And I don't know Juan, but I felt it. I felt it locally. It's ridiculous how among us we're becoming more and more open to being racist and just.
My grandfather felt it. He came from Ireland, and they used to have signs that said "No Irish need apply."
Yeah.
So.
But it's interesting that only Latinos are considered immigrants, and they do these things to go and capture Latinos when there's tons of other undocumented immigrants walking the United States. But you never see, let's do a raid for Irish who are here without any legal documentation. Let's do a raid for Chinese or Asian. There's only raids for Latinos, which is critical for Juan's point.
Well,
it's offensive.
I've been involved in politics my whole life.
I know.
And I strongly believe in the right to vote and the obligation to vote.
Absolutely.
One time in 1971, I organized a group in Mississippi to train newly emerged black leaders to run for office so they could pick up some of the political skills that some of us have. And people died in Mississippi for the right to vote. And people were killed because of racism.
Yeah.
Racism exists, no question about it. And the best way to fight it is to vote, because politicians, we love them. They're so important. I mean, they pay for. I mean, they don't pay for it. The city pays for it, but they decide which schools are going to be open, what's the curricula going to be. They decide the court system. They decide virtually everything. And if Hispanics are not voting, or Latinos are not voting, they're not going to get the same attention as other groups. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you can look at voting results, and then you can look at the attitudes of some politicians, and you can see they match. And there are great examples of that all around the country. And
I agree with you.
yeah. So the voting registration deadline is coming up on October 19th. No, yeah, it is the 19th.
19, yeah.
And it's going to be open, City Hall is going to be open until 8 o'clock that night. People can come down and see the people in the election office, the clerk's office.
Yeah.
They do fabulous work. They're really good people. They're nice people, and they're capable people, and they will help. So once that deadline passes, it's too late.
Too late.
Then it really doesn't help to complain. You know, the government doesn't pay attention to me. What good does that do if you didn't participate yourself?
Yeah.
Can I just add something?
You can add whatever you want.
I think it's critical to register to vote, but I think it's more critical to actually go and vote.
Oh.
Because I find that there's a lot of people who register to vote when their license says register to vote, and they pick a side and they know what they want according to paperwork, but they don't do the legwork to actually go and vote. And it's important to say that employers support your right to vote. You're supposed to be given time to go and vote, which is critical. Some people believe that they need to ask for special permissions to go and do this. You need to inform, but it's also important for them to know that yes, you have the right to vote. It's your right, your obligation, like we talked.
No question. Even if you have to wait in line.
Even if you have to wait
I
in
mean,
line.
you know, you've seen the people in Florida and Ohio. I mean, they wait all day long in line. And by the way, some of those lines are a direct result of racism.
Absolutely.
In Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, about a dozen years ago, in one of the presidential elections, they cut down the number of voting precincts in African American areas, so they couldn't vote. They had to go vote in another place, and had to wait in long lines, and they did. But we shouldn't have to do that. And so there have been attempts to cut down registration and voting. So it's all the more reason for us to stick it in the face of those people who are trying to prevent people from voting, saying, I'm going to go out and vote.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay. And if you want a recommendation, I'll give it to you off camera. No, we don't want to go with any names. So, what about what else you guys doing? What else is the paper going to do?
Well, the paper is going to be instrumental, again, to unite the community and inform the community. But I think it's also a tool for the leadership that needs to happen. If you see, like Juan was mentioning, we need a lot more leaders, and we have a lot of role models that nobody knows about. Your example about how a kid comes here and doesn't know the language, we see it every day. I came here, I didn't have a language, I was 6 years old, I learned the language, I graduated. It's a very common thing. Why? Because the parents are working, the kids have to be self-sufficient. They have to do well in school because that's the only thing that the parents kind of tell you, do well in school. Education is the only thing you're going to ever have.
Well, it's great advice. I mean, it's not the only
Absolutely.
thing.
But I think that there is this misconception that we don't have those role models. Like I was talking to Juan, not because he's here, but his daughter is an amazing role model for multiple young women.
Like it,
Absolutely. She studies. She's right now here in Lynn in a blood drive campaign. She's there with the temperature. She's been there since 8 in the morning when I came to work. She was already there in the van calling people to give blood. And this is only one of the activities that this young woman is leading.
That's very rewarding when you participate. You know you're doing it.
Absolutely.
Both you know.
Absolutely.
You run a program for batterers.
I do. I also I run groups for men who abuse women. I've been doing this for more than 10 years. I'm state certified to run these groups. And there's a lot of reward to that. And people
Of course,
say,
that's what my point is, yeah.
oh my God, you work with those men? Yeah, you know what? Those men, if you teach them different, maybe they'll make different choices. You have to give people the opportunity and the benefit of the doubt. Otherwise, let's just put everybody in jail and let's throw the key, because if that's what we believe and people are not capable of changing, then we might as well, actually, 50 cents on a bullet, let's just call it a day. That's not the belief. That's not, if you really want to change, you can. There is capabilities within you to make positive changes if you choose those changes. And I believe that completely. And I believe in a community that's emerging, that's strong, that needs a voice, that needs a presence. And that's what the newspaper will be. It will be the tool to get that voice. That's why it's called La Voz.
Let me tell you, we Virginia Barton, does that name ring a bell with either of you? She's deceased now. She was an African American leader. She was a great leader and a great person. And we formed, because of what you're talking about, especially 20, 25 years ago, if you went around the community, you're going to be working with nonprofit communities, right? If you went around the community and looked at the board of directors, they were all white.
Yep.
And almost all male. So we started a program to train people how to serve on boards of directors. Virginia and I, and we recruited, the item was involved, Alan Court at that time. Ted is participating. We're doing some future programs. We did one in May.
That's awesome.
It's a fantastic program. We get people who have served on boards, and what we try to do is demystify what it means to serve on the board of directors. You don't have to know the lingo, the health center. We recruited several people who served at board training.
Yep.
Laurie Berry was one of the trainers. She's the
Okay.
director of the Lynn Community Health Center. And we ended up with several people who ended up on her board as officers of the board. And in other communities around the city, the CMCC is going to pick this up, the Community Minority Cultural Center,
Nice.
I believe. And so that's an open program, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, we just sit around a table, about 30 people or so at a time, and people learn the lingo of being on a board. I make a motion that we make Juan Gonzalez president. I second it. All those in favor say aye, all opposed no. The ayes have it. We just teach that lingo so people are comfortable with it.
Yep.
And I think some of the people that went through our program are more effective board members than other people who've been there for years. I work in a law office, so if I were to say, my wife works with me, she's very active, so I'm not going to pick on her, but Ronnie Malloy works for me, if I said, Ronnie, go serve on the CMCC board of directors, he may do it because I asked him to do it.
Yep.
But he may not be. I'm not picking on Ronnie, but because he didn't think of it on his own, he may not be a good board member. And that's how a lot of people end up on boards. They get really appointed by the bank or something. So we try to inspire people to serve. I mean, the work that you are doing is just unbelievable, and you get it. I know you like to get paid, and we all like to get paid, but it makes you feel really good when you go out and do what you do.
Yeah.
So
I agree, Jim. Actually, I don't mind, like you say, there is many organizations with the white people representing or heading this board of directors, and I don't mind, they are doing a really good job, but if we are here, I think we should be part of any organization.
No doubt about it.
And because if not, we are living the real American dream. If we are not taking part of any of those organization or activities, we are basically grabbing our countries and put it right here in the United States. We should be more active in our community, to be more better every single day. So I agree with you, and we should have more representation. Yes.
And When is this course happening again?
Well, I'm working with the CMCC right now and some
Okay.
other stuff, so I'll let you know when it does.
I would like to write about that in the paper
Yeah,
because I
good.
think there's a lot of people who would be interested
Good.
in
yeah,
attending.
Yeah, you should definitely
Of course.
recruit some people too.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we will. We will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, okay, we'll put an ad in the paper as well.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I consistently heard back from the community, and it resonated a lot with me, and I share it with Juan, was we want to participate, we just don't know when things are happening. We need to know what opportunities are out there so we can jump on them. But if we don't know,
That's a good point.
yeah, if we don't know, how are we going to show up?
So when we next run this next group, we can include a little calendar of events
Absolutely.
for people, for everybody who's on the board, and you can print it or whatever.
So actually, the paper is, and this is in the works. It's work in progress, as you say. There's a calendar
I didn't say that.
precisely of events. Well, Americans say work in progress. You start to learn the lingo
Yeah, I
as
get
an
it,
immigrant.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
'Cause that
I'm still
doesn't-
trying.
that doesn't work in Spanish. Trabajo en progreso doesn't really work in Spanish. But anyway, that's part of the goal, is to have a calendar within the paper that people can look at and say,
Good.
okay, on Wednesday there's the blood drive if I
That's
want
a
to do
great
that.
goal, and people should attend some of those meetings.
Yeah.
If you don't show up, people aren't going to know that you're concerned, right?
Exactly.
I'm
And-
sorry, we're going to have to wrap this up in about 30 seconds. So you got anything else you want to say?
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, yeah.
It was really, really good to talk
Yeah.
about all these very important topics, and I hope that everybody enjoys La Voz and that
Yeah.
it has, a strong
We have a lot to
presence.
talk about. We'll get you back on, the two of you, if you want to come back.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Having
yeah,
us here.
pleasure.
And Thank
Yeah.
you, Carolina.
And thank you for coming on the show, both of you. So, that's it.
Thank you so much. It didn't hurt.
Never hurts, no. Oh, sorry. Don't, can we take the mics off? Okay. Okay.
We only do that for the show.
So-
in reality.
So is what we say going to be on tape? No. So if I were going to make a recommendation, I'd say Hillary Clinton,